Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to present today and also to work with Rosa on this colloquium. The crowd has whittled down since yesterday, but I think some of us are still here. So today I'd like to tell you about this project that Institute for Water Research is leading. It's part of the Arua Water Center of Excellence, and it's called Nature-Based Solutions for Shifting Africa's Complex Issues. As part of it, there are universities from South Africa, so obviously Rhodes and University of Cape Town, and there's two Senegalese universities, UCAD, University Sheikh Anta Diop in Dakar, and École Polytechnique de Tis, as well as a couple of European universities and collaborators, and it's funded by the European Union. So you see a list of people who are on this project, including Margaret, Rebecca, and Matthew Weaver. Some of you know him. So let's start with what nature-based solutions are. I think there are various definitions there, but nature-based solutions are approaches and technologies which we are using so that the approach is cooperating with nature in terms of how we find solutions. And there are various other concepts that are related with nature-based solutions. So the box on the right-hand side shows you various concepts such as ecological engineering, ecological infrastructure, green engineering, green chemistry probably should be there. And the reason why NBS is becoming more and more popular in the conversations that are going on about climate resilience and adaptation is because nature-based solutions support human and ecological well-being. Maybe it's a new terminology that is happening, but people have known about this for a while. We know we need to adapt to climate change. And this United Nations World Water Development Report in 2018, in fact, listed that nature-based solutions can enhance the availability of water, it can improve the water quality, it can reduce water-related disasters and so on. So nature-based solutions is a big concept. In our project, we are looking at a smaller component of it, and I'll talk about that. So the benefits that come together for the environment, the society, and the economy that come together under this help with coming up with a green and circular economy. These are various examples of nature-based solutions that are found online. So on the top, you see an example from Ljubljana, Slovenia. And in that case, they are working on an urban master plan, which is looking at 83% of all city development, which is involved with renewing existing developed areas and brownfields. On the right-hand side, there is an example from Rwanda, and that is about ecosystem restoration and sustainable hydropower. This example was from the World Resources Report, and they are looking at ecosystem restoration so that we can adapt to the vulnerability of changing water systems. On the left-hand side is an example of wetlands from India, where these wetlands in Kolkata are being used to treat sewage and nutrients in wastewater, as well as linking it with fish farms and agriculture. And in the bottom middle picture, it's a South African example. So that's ecosystem-based planning for climate change. And there the objective is to avoid activities that could increase vulnerability to climate change. I'm going to hide this box, sorry. And to look at intervention for water flow regulation. That's extremely important because, as we know, we are water constrained in terms of the water that is available to us. And was it Brad, you were talking about how most of our water comes from grasslands, and many of them are being impacted with people focusing more on trees and forests and so on. Even some of the reforestation that happens is focusing on that instead of rehabilitating grasslands. So Letitia talked yesterday about the donut economy, and many of you might have seen these figures. These are planetary boundaries that we have surpassed. This is done by Stockholm Resilience Center, and they have done 3 assessments over the years. The one done last year in 2023 is the most comprehensive, where they assessed 9 boundaries. And we have unfortunately crossed 6 of those boundaries. Those are listed in that box on the right-hand side. And these include biosphere integrity, climate change, freshwater change, and various others, including novel entities. Microplastics was mentioned earlier by Margaret. So that is one of the novel entity that they talk about. So in addition to that, we are not living sustainably, we also are constrained by finances, particularly the poor countries. So this is the adaptation gap report on the left-hand side from the United Nations Environment Programme. And it talks about how poor countries are underfinanced and underprepared for what is our future, but also what we are currently facing. Many of the poor countries get finance for adaptation from rich countries. And on the right-hand side, you see a headline which talks about rich countries fall short on climate aid. And how much they fall short in terms of providing money for adapting is up to 10 to 18 times the actual costs that are required, according to this report. So nature-based solution comes into that space as a way of how we create infrastructure which is much more resilient. And that is why nature-based solution is also part of the Green Deal, which is under the European Union, and that's why we got funded under this project. So let me tell you a little bit about the project. The objective of the project is to enhance the capability of future professionals. So these are current students, by updating the curricula. And in this case, Rosa, I'm glad you were presented before me, because you talked about being subversive by teaching the current generation. We are being subversive square, you can say, by not only thinking about the current students, but also looking at current built environment professionals. So we will be coming up with short courses which are targeted towards those professionals. So we are looking at both of those coming together, because if you only teach the students, we think the change that will happen will be in 20 years or 10 years when they get to a powerful position where they can make the change. So that's why we designed this project, to also address the built environment professionals who are designing many of the infrastructures. So we are focusing on how infrastructures are designed and how those can be better designed using nature-based solutions. So that, we hope, facilitates towards sustainable development and climate resilience. The funder is Erasmus+, and the project collaborators, I have talked a little bit about it. You see their logos on the sheet. So nature-based solutions is part of the solution that part of what we are doing. We are saying we are going beyond nature-based solutions by looking at inclusive nature-based solutions. So Jess, this will be right down your line. We are looking at how we can bring in not just the knowledge and the approaches, but how we can involve the stakeholders in the design of those infrastructure. So some of the courses we'll be working with are multidisciplinary, and I'll show you those. In some ways, and maybe this is being too ambitious, we have 3 axes of transformative and innovative curricula that we are looking at. We'll be obviously looking at state-of-the-art nature-based solutions that can promote climate resilience, but we'll also working away from siloed knowledge towards integrative, holistic, multidisciplinary knowledge. And thirdly, we are looking at aligning engineering curricula with environmental curricula. And the reason why we are doing that is because engineers are usually the designers of these infrastructures, and environmental scientists do the environmental impact assessments on them. We need to make sure that they speak the same language, that the environmental scientists are sending back the EIAs designed by engineers and saying, wait a minute, where is the NBS solution that you could include in there? Of course, that would also require changes on the policy side, And that would be a much more long-term goal that we probably will not achieve through there, but we are interacting with stakeholders. We are going to be working with some of the policy makers, and hopefully some of you would also help us guide in that direction. So we think this project is an important strategy, and working towards inclusive nature-based solution is an important strategy to combat and build resilience against the impacts of climate change, as well as stemming brain drain, because if the researchers and the engineers here can be doing things that they see Europeans are doing or Americans are doing, maybe they want to stay behind here and do the state-of-the-art artwork. Okay, so these are the courses that we have initially built into the proposal. These are courses from TU Delft in Netherlands, 5 courses, engineering, building with nature, beyond engineering, where the social aspects are brought in, responsible innovation, ethics, safety, and technology. And in that sense, we will be, hopefully, I've initiated conversation with Rosa as to how we can look at your 12 green chemistry principles and see where responsible innovation can be brought in and maybe expand the course, or maybe we can learn from it and take it back to TU Delft and say, wait, you're missing these elements. Multidisciplinary research methods for engineers and co-creating sustainable cities. So those are the TU Delft courses. Agro-Paris-Tech, that's our new collaborator. We haven't worked with them before in France. And they have courses on joint water management and planning in social ecological systems and participation for integrated water resources management. So these are courses that we thought that we will be contextualizing for the African context, because we cannot just take courses that they developed based on their knowledge and just bring it in, plus updating them with examples from Africa, because we want the students to connect with those examples, not see some work that was done in Netherlands on how they built Rotterdam Dam or something, but how is nature-based solutions being done here? So there will be a lot of work that we will be doing in terms of adapting and updating these courses and creating them in 2 languages, English and French. So there's a lot of work ahead for us. I put together this slide of examples of skills and outcomes of courses, because I think when I looked at some of these courses, that was what really excited me and makes me feel like I want to learn some of those skills, and I hope that'll excite the students also. So the Building with Nature course, the students will be exploring the interface between hydraulic engineering, nature, and society. In the Beyond Engineering, one of the skills is to build a relevant coalition of stakeholders, analyze the power and interests of these stakeholders, and include their interdependence on resources. Quite complex, and I'm not sure I won't be probably teaching that course. Thanks, Rosa. In responsible innovation, they'll be looking at assessing risks, including unknown risks and safety of new technologies and causes of accidents, and use a framework that has been developed for responsible innovation. And in the joint water management, they'll analyze socio-environmental situations, including justice and equity assessment criteria. And they'll also be using role-playing games. So these were the initial degrees that we had identified, degrees in each of the African universities. For Rhodes University, we originally identified working with Jess in environmental science degree, postgraduate diploma. But since then, we have been talking with other departments. We are hoping the honors degrees in geography, and we have had conversations with Sheldon and Ian, and environmental science. We'll be approaching you, Gladman. I think Jess has already indicated interest that these honors degrees will take up these courses. So these are master level courses. They'll need to be adapted to honors level. And we are hoping they will become not just supplementary courses, but could be part of the core curricula. That's a conversation we need to have with you. We are also at the Institute for Water Research thinking about a new master's degree, which will incorporate some of these degrees, because most of the master's degrees are research-based. Not many master's degrees are not taught masters, are not, did I say that correctly? Okay, so just what we hope to achieve in terms of outputs, I'll just take your eyes to the top, long-term outcomes and goals, strengthen the capacity and capability of current and future environmental professionals and engineers for facilitating responsible innovation and nature-based solutions, and the expected impacts that we hope will be innovation in higher education towards socioeconomic impacts in that the labor market, it's relevant to the labor market and society. Plus, it's also relevant to Agenda 2063. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Africa We Want. This is a continent-wide strategic framework that aims to deliver on its goals for inclusive and sustainable development. And so two of the goals under that Agenda 2063 align with our project. There's also the African Union Commission's Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy, and three of the goals that we have identified align with our project. So this is our organogram. There are local project management committees. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because we'll be asking some of you to come in and be part of either the local management committee, where we need input from other departments, because we are not teaching many of those degrees. We would like you to come in and bring that input, as well as the advisory committee, which will be external stakeholders, where they will talk about, are these courses relevant? Are there courses similar to that already existing? Do we need to adapt them, and so on? So we're hoping that advice will come through the advisory committee. So look out for emails coming in your email box. The project started in February. Since then, we have had an inception meeting, and we also had a project launch on Earth Day. Some of you might have attended that. That was a blended event, so many people were on, people from other countries were online. We did come up with a project launch video. I don't have time to show a minute of that video, but it is online on YouTube. And this presentation will be available as a PDF, so you can always look at that later on. I think I'm pretty close to the end, but at this point, I would like to invite you. We're in the process of doing a needs analysis. So this is where we need your input in telling us what we are doing, the courses we have chosen, the skills we have chosen. Are these of interest to the HEI stakeholders? Are these of interest also with industry, which will be sending out surveys? So there is a needs analysis we'll be sending out. I hope it'll be okay that I'll use the email list and send out the survey to you. If you feel you have 15 minutes to give us feedback, that'll be much appreciated. That's part of one of our work packages we need to deliver on. And thank you very much.
Questions?
Yeah, so I acknowledge that there's already work done under the terminology of nature-based solutions. I myself have got grant applications in that use that terminology, but I must say I'm not comfortable with it.
Okay.
I think it has a great danger of creating this impression that nature's going to sort us all out, and that we don't actually have to take any actions themselves. I think that's so wrong. We are going to surpass the 1.5 degree top 21 temperature, and planting trees isn't going to change that.
Right.
You know, so I wish they had chosen a different terminology.
I did read a paper where they talked about the word solutions shouldn't have been there. It should be, because it's not always a solution, but the term is so well been adapted and taken over that they are staying with it. I think, yes, by itself, nature-based solution, nature is not going to solve all the solutions, especially if we are living unsustainably. We're cutting down forests, we are changing how the grasslands behave and so on. But I think this is one part of what we need to do. I don't think this is the solution. I think this is one prong of a multi-prong approach. We definitely still need to say, I don't want a plastic spoon coming with a coffee cup. We still need to have, we need to change many different habits. Those are small actions. There are bigger actions we need to do. Making sure everybody talks a sustainability talk, knows what sustainability is, maybe sees what sustainability is, which I'm not sure we can see it unless we have maybe the time horizon. Yes, but I'm not sure if I addressed your question, Brad, or if you want to add to that further.
Well, I mean, I'd love to hear a survey of what politicians think nature-based solutions are. We all know that it goes way beyond relying on nature. It's incorporating all sorts of other things, education, all sorts of things that you've spoken about. But I mean, the danger is that politicians pick up on this and carry on burning coal.
Sure.
Nature's going to sort us out.
Sure. But I'm hoping the way we build infrastructure, if that is much more cognizant of which materials we're using, are those locally sourced? Are those moving away from the way we have done it, where they're hard infrastructures which are not adaptable in the long run or resilient, that is one part of it, of the answer. So yes, we'll be sending out the survey to people, but I'm not sure it'll answer exactly the question that you're asking. Maybe that's a questionnaire that needs to be done by the Environmental Learning Research Center. James?
Okay, thanks. One more question, James?
It's just a comment. Thanks for raising this very important issue. It's like a buzzword. A lot of finance is attached to nature-based solutions. For example, Oxford has come up with the concept of nature-positive universities. And it's one way of actually branding, but there has been a lot of debate, even national, whether we should be looking at nature-based solutions or ecosystem-based adaptation. I remember you were part of that workshop that we attended. So it's a buzzword. If you want American dollars, probably zinc gold, then use nature-based solutions.
We can talk about net zero.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, so South Africa is leading on the ecosystem-based adaptation, and Barney Klope we are in conversation with him. He's interested in the work that we do, how that gets integrated. But I think when I attended the last meeting that they had, they said nature-based solutions was not agreed upon by the African Union, whereas ecosystem-based adaptation, which is one of the things under NBS umbrella, is being taken forward.
Margaret's promised to be quick.
I'm going to be really quick because I think for me it talks to rights and responsibilities. And I think what happens when you say nature-based solutions and ecosystem-based adaptation and the buzzwords, we can throw money at it, and then we've done what we need to do, and we've taken responsibility for throwing money at the poorer nation, and the poorer nation must take the money and be responsible for fixing things. But I'm not sure how much individual responsibility we're encouraging then. And people will defend their rights to stuff. So rich countries will give poor countries money and say, but you've got a problem, so you must go from no cars to electric cars because there's a problem in the world. But we're still going to drive our big diesel trucks in America because we want to be able to drive our diesel trucks. And it's a very simple example, but I think there's so many layers to the words that we use and the responsibilities that we take. And indeed, at the moment, NBS is the word. And if you want money funding research, you're going to find a way to put it in there. And that's the game we're playing at the moment.
Thank you.